In the Civil War, many people perished. The Confederate Army lost around 258,000 men.
The Union Army lost around 360,222 men. How many of these were drummers is uncertain. What we do know is that drummers made their mark on the war. The tragedy was inevitable. As soon as the young boys went off to enlist, it was a sentence to hardship and possible death. The triumph was that children as young as 7 were willing to stand up for their beliefs and fight for what they thought was the direction their country should take. Drummers also acted as stretchers and assisted the wounded from the battlefield. They performed their duties with the competence of an adult in an infantry, following orders which in many cases turned the tide of battle.
Today, there are still drummers that carry on this tradition. At former President John F. Kennedy's funeral, the only thing during the funeral procession was the mournful cadence of a drum. Drummers are often present for memorials or final burials at Arlington National Cemetery. These young boys' lives will never be forgotten. One drummer that made a significant impact was Willie Johnson. This 12-year-old drummer was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor on September 16, 1863, for his bravery during the 7 Days Battle. While adults around him were dropping their weapons, running scared in retreat, he made it off the battlefield with his drum. President Lincoln recommended Willie's commendation. Many other boys endured significant pain. They drummed the beats of their hearts, which echoed throughout the battles.
Now, after your child does his thing, they're going to be interviewed, and they have to defend what they've done. So they're starting the interview process now. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they do a paper or any of the other categories. They have to do a defense-like interview of that, okay? Which will usually last about 5 to 10 minutes. Ms. Tyler, do you want to say anything else before we dismiss?
Sure. Our last area to talk about is the web page. And since this is our first attempt at this, and actually, honestly, the first national attempt at this eventually, we're keeping it pretty simple this year. If you at home have software that you would like your child to use, it must be Windows compatible. I have used Microsoft Front Page and Microsoft Publisher to make websites. They're fairly easy to understand. Most people have them in their Microsoft Office. If you don't, they're not the most expensive things to buy, to add in. Yes?
From a web browsing perspective, what would you suggest be looking at the web page? Explorer, Firefox, Netscape?
That's a very good question. I'm assuming, which we know what assuming leads to, Internet Explorer. I just know that those two are pretty user-friendly. Being Microsoft, most people have them. That's why I encourage it. Like I said, if you have another program, if you have Dreamweaver is very popular. We've talked about. There's multiple programs out there. If you're comfortable with something and you don't mind working with your child through this, that's great. That's an opportunity for you to do this together. I'll try to find out the answer to that. My email is on our web page. I'm the person you email when you click on email the teacher. If you need to talk to any of the other teachers, I'll gladly forward on to their email boxes. But like I said, ask us questions. We may have to say, I don't know, we'll get back to you on this, but we will.
And yes, please feel free to ask questions. I know when you get home or particularly in the next week or 2 or 3, some things are going to occur to you, and you'll think, oh, gee, I wish I would have addressed this at that meeting. Just fire off an email, and we'll get back to you very promptly about that. We want to make this as painless for you as a parent as we can, and like I said, it is a lot like giving birth. By the time you put together something like this, you feel like, whew. And these girls did a fine job. They ranked 10th in the nation. They went to national finals with that performance and did quite well. Yes, ma'am? How much? That's a great question. You are allowed to assist and give advice and things like that, but there's a point past which you don't just pick it up and do it for them. That's not what we want. because we want them to have the primary responsibility for this. But you can gather material, help them gather stuff to put this together, and even the boys that did this. We questioned them and said, you know, did you guys put this thing together? And they said, yes, we did. Our dad had one of our dads had some expertise with construction, and he showed us how to use the saw, and we got out there and he helped assist, but we were there doing it every step of the way. And that's kind of what we want to hear. We, you know, and that involves some expense, putting that together. And you don't have to go that elaborate with an exhibit. You can do a regular science fair type board and put 2 of them up like this, and there are specs on that. It has to conform to the regulations, and by the way, your children already have those rules in their possessions for all of these types of projects. They've got rules for every one in their binder already. So, but as much as you can do to take them places, point them to resources, give them advice, say, yeah, that's really good, or maybe you might want to consider this, you know, or have you thought about maybe, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. That's what we would wish you would do. Anybody else have a quick question?
We have 2 examples up here of historical paper, if anybody would be interested in looking. These 2 have been to
Yes, sir.
nationals.
If your child said one thing, but after being here tonight, you want to talk with them again, can they?
We're in at the early stage. If there's, you know, if there's something that you think maybe if you think their topic really doesn't address the theme as well as it should, it might make it a little hard for them. Email us your thoughts on that, and we'll look at that at a case-by-case basis. There's a point past which we don't want them to change, because this research process, I mean, if you switch in midstream, switch horses in midstream, sometimes it just puts them so much behind that they, on the schedule, that they can't catch up. But this is early yet.
The category.
Oh, it's the category? That's not a problem.
They can search that.
That's not a problem, because all the time we have somebody thinking, I'm going to do a documentary. And then once they kind of see what's involved, think, yeah, I think I'm better off going exhibit. So, yeah. That's not my thing. You know, this is my thing right here. That's doable for me. And they have to feel comfortable. They have a comfort zone that they need to kind of figure out what it is. You know. Anybody else have a question? We're going to let you go. We've been here kind of for an hour. We don't want to keep you past that because you have other obligations.
Yes. So if your child is doing anything with the Korean War, you've got a great resource just right in your backyard.
Or anything military. They could point you to the right sources.
We've got World War I, World War II, Civil War, Tuskegee Airmen. We've got all, and what I don't have on exhibit, I do have primary sources, I have artifacts, and we have unlimited resources that I can, if your child needs an example of an artifact, I can get one out and say, you might want to find something like this. You can't have this one, but we can find something like it. You know, but I do have primary documents. You can look at our website. We have things on our website you can use. Pictures, if you need pictures, we just put a 4,600 picture primary sources. They're AP press photographs, World War II press photographs. They're the original pictures from World War II, and they're on our website. And the kids can go on them, they can save them to their jump drive, and you can use them in exhibits, you can use them in documentaries. They're fabulous.
That's a great resource. So the Military Museum in Little Rock. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We appreciate it.